Hello and welcome to Sunrise Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known as Crease Collector. So another year has come and gone, and with it we have another year in review episode for the podcast. I believe this is our fifth one now, obviously starting in 2020 and then one each year. So this is our fifth year in review episode. So if you guys have listened to the show for any length of time, you probably kind of understand how this episode works every year, going through our 2024 resolutions, and then we'll go through our top 10 pickups of the year, and then look ahead to 2025 and some resolutions that we would like to make for the year ahead. But before we get into that, there's a couple of fairly notable hobby news items that have kind of cropped up over the last week or so. The first one I'll let Aaron speak to because he spoke to it last time. But if you guys have not heard, the Canada Post strike is kind of over. There's a little bit more nuance to it than just simply being over. So I will turn the floor over to Aaron and he can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So it's over. They officially reached a deal. But as far as things getting back to normal, we might be kind of ways away from that. Last time, when they reached a deal last week, I think, and myself included, were kind of, not really, clear on the details. And as far as, the week going on, we kind of realized that some locations started to accept mail sometimes earlier, but some of them accepted new mail as far as even late Thursday during the week. So as far as the rest of that week for some locations and maybe into this week or even into the weekend last week, I'm sure it was just sort of a logistical nightmare as far as from what I understand. It was more of like a planning week. They were back, as far as them being at their locations. I believe it was Tuesday, but not accepting things even as late as Thursday, I think, at some locations. But just as far as new things getting out, I don't know if we're kind of there yet. If you had something sort of in the system that might have been delivered already, and I saw some posts here and there about Canada Post finally getting people their cards, but as far as new things that you might have already just sent out or are thinking of sending out, we might be sort of experiencing some delays there. So I have one or two things coming myself, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how that kind of flows through the system. But it yeah. So Josh just kind of chimed in here, forced back to work, which they were, and then he thinks they'll be back in strike again in May, which could happen because I think with the you know back to work order, that only has a certain I guess timeline, and I guess that kind of puts things on hold until X amount of days. So I guess in May they have the possibility of striking again. So we'll see if there's a deal reached in the meantime. But as far as right now, we'll have to see. So not out of the woods yet. There's a lot of backlog. But yeah, we'll see how things kind of flow through. But yeah, definitely not a normal sort of back to work and everything's fine. It's sort of like a weird sort of they're back at work, but we'll have to see how things kind of flow. So again, not out of the woods, but we'll have to see what happens. So I'll be definitely keeping an eye on that myself, how things kind of go, and I'm sure many other collectors will do the same. So interesting times.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's obviously good for all of us collectors that the mail is going to be, back up and running. Kind of like you said, it'll probably take a little bit of time to get, sorted out and work through the backlog and stuff. But yeah, the mail is back up and running, so that's a good thing for sure. And then, kind of the other notable bit of hobby news of late, I think this happened like 2 weeks ago at this point, but people didn't really realize it until like a week or a week and a half ago. But officially, the $1 million bounty on the Connor Bedard Gold Outburst Young Gun 1 of 1 has expired from Dave and Adams. So, what exactly does that mean? Who knows? Lots of people are speculating about it, all kinds of theories and conspiracy theories and everything under the sun you will see being talked about online in this regard. But we won't go into those rabbit holes, but more just establishing the fact that that bounty is expired, whatever that means. So obviously that was a huge bit of hobby news when that was first announced, leading up to Series 2 release. And yeah, obviously it's certainly caught people's attention here over the last little bit. I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to add to that.
I mean, I don't. I know there's been a lot of theories and things like that, but I don't know anything. But I mean, watch that thing be pulled like in the next couple weeks or something like that. To start the year or something like that, something crazy. So it definitely wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's their right to take it down if they want, but it's definitely interesting. So you'll like we'll have to wait and see if if something happens in the next few weeks or something. That'll be definitely an extra layer for sure. But hey, it's I guess one of those things.
Yep, we shall see. We shall see. But like I said, at the very least, it's interesting and certainly notable and
Yeah,
newsworthy and important to talk about. So
definitely.
there's that. So then turning to what you guys are all here for, the main part of our year in review episode. Of course, like I said, how we kind of start this out is going over our 2024 hobby resolutions. So Aaron, I will turn the floor over to you and you can go through yours.
Definitely. So for me, nothing too crazy. Just I want to kind of make a goal for myself to pick up a couple more one-on-ones for the Enroth collection. I think that would be really cool. I think I'm sitting at like 76 right now, so I think if I can bump that up to you know maybe five more, or at the very least kind of hit 80, I think that would be really cool, a nice little milestone. So I think that'd be great. Another one, which again isn't super, earth shattering at all, but is my 300 Win Club set. I'm going for the other ones, in SB Game Used, as well as the 40 Win set, released in those as well. But the main one is the 300 Win Club set. And I just need the Belfour to finish it off. It is the most rare card of the set, so of course it always fetches big money when it goes up for auction. I was super close this year, well, close but wasn't close. I saw an auction for it, got the notification, but by the time I looked at it, it was already sold for like a nice $50 buy it now type thing. So kind of I guess the person didn't know what they had, or maybe they did and they just wanted a quick sale. So either way, good for them, good for the buyer as well. So yeah, I mean, that one is still burning a hole in the want list. So I'd love to, finish that one off. I'm sure many other collectors of the set over the years would love to have it. That's why the card is, very, very sought after. Again, like this card has reached, I think the last one before this buy it now, um, kind of random sale, would routinely sell for like a couple $100, this one card. So yeah, definitely a very difficult one to track down. So hopefully I can get a deal done somewhere, but that's probably the number one card, aside from the Enroth stuff. Definitely the Belfour 12-13 300 Win Club jersey card, not the patch version, just the regular jersey card, would be, probably, a top of, my other want list here. So that's a big one for me as far as 2025. And just the next one on the list is have fun, which is super cheesy, but I love it. And it's true, because I think we've been all in those, lower periods of our time in the hobby, and they're not really fun. And so I think if you're in this hobby for the right reasons, I think fun is the most, I think the best part of it about it, and the most important part. So if you're not having fun, then I think you should kind of like rethink things a little bit. So number one thing for me is keep having fun. So, and yeah, so that would be the main things for me. um and as far as bigger goals, I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. So, not really sure right now, but I mean, who knows?
I
So
mean, the interesting thing for you, you're kind of those are like the goals you had coming into this current year,
yeah,
and then they're kind of carrying over again. So
exactly.
it's kind
It's
of both
sort of
and.
exactly. So I'm just sort of continuing on this past year of what my goals were, and just sort of I'm not really sure right now because, I'm at the point and I've been there sort of the last couple of years where, new cards might pop up that you don't really know or they weren't really on your radar, this past year. And so it's sort of like a, wait and see type thing. So at this point, yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm just sort of seeing what the landscape looks like, because you have pretty much everything, and we'll see what President's Choice has for me this next year, and maybe there's a new product or something like that, and things get kind of reevaluated. But right now, it's just sort of continuing on, my current trajectory really. So nothing really new or earth shattering, but again, we'll have to see. But more of a, like you said, a continuation of this past year, and done pretty well, but just sort of trying to keep that going, I guess.
For sure. I know one of your goals coming into 2024 was to add 5 Enroth one of ones. How did you do with that?
I added like I think three, so not totally there. So I think I'm gonna, if I can hit 80 this year, so hit another four, maybe five, and kind of relive that goal of this past year, that'd be great. But I think picking up a couple more would be good. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what comes up. I mean, one of ones are sort of a bonus. So I mean, if they come up, great. If not, that's kind of the way it goes. So we'll have to see, really.
Indeed. Yeah. So for my 2024 resolutions, my first one was to finish at least one notable 0304 set for my 0304 project. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I feel like I think I had that as a goal last year and did not accomplish it last year, did not accomplish it again this year. Um, Largely because you're kind of just at the mercy of those cards appearing. And unfortunately, that did not happen. So that was a fail. Next one was finish getting my office set up. It's definitely not done, but I definitely made decent progress in that regard. So I'll say that was kind of like a kind of success, kind of fail. Next one, getting my collection organized. Definitely was a fail there. Still have a long way to go in that regard. But definitely think that can be done this coming year. And then the last one was pull a Connor Bedard Young Gun, and that was a success. So definitely was glad to, very, very confidently check that one off the list. There's no debating if that happened or not. It happened. So that was obviously a big success and one of my highlights of the year. So kind of use that as a nice little segue here into our top 10 for 2024. And I know we both have an honorable mention category. So, Aaron, I will let you start off with your honorable mention, then I'll do mine, and then we'll go back and forth 10 to 1, counting down our top 10. So, take it away with your honorable mention.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So for me, this was something I picked up at the expo. Not this one that just passed, but it was the spring expo, and yeah, it was a great card. It was from 0203, be a player memorabilia. It was from the All Star Emblem set, and it was of Curtis Joseph. So a nice card out of 10. The cool thing about this card is, I mean, one, I'm a Leafs fan. Grew up sort of idolizing this guy. I mean, as did most Leaf fans. So as you can see there on the screen, a nice little patch there. So the cool thing about this one is that, obviously it's an all-star game patch, which is quite rare in and of itself, but obviously there Cujo's repping his all-star jersey at the 2000 NHL All-Star game, which was in Toronto. So, I mean, that's sort of an extra little tidbit that makes it really cool for me. And the patch itself is from the NHL 2000 sort of patch that they had on the upper sort of right side, kind of where the betting logos and stuff would go now, unfortunately. But back in the day, it wasn't the case. So a great little patch there. I used to have a Belfour card. It was part of a 6-way patch tag set, and it had a piece of that NHL 2000 set as well. And so I sold the card, but ever since then, I kind of always wanted another patch card featuring that logo, and so this one sort of checks off that box as well. So yeah, just a great card all around. It would have made my top 10, but just a nice honorable mention as well. So, I mean, a great card. I love those older Be a Player designs. I love the all-star sets that they have. It's just really cool. They always have the best patches. It's just definitely made with a lot of care, I think. So another perfect example there. And yeah, can't get much better than Cujo. So it's a great card and for a great price too.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really sweet card. I remember you sharing when you got it, and yeah, definitely a very cool card for sure. For my honorable mention, this is kind of one where, well, it's not even one, it's two actually, but the theme of it being two cards that I had graded this year. Um, Both of these cards were in my collection for a number of years prior, so it doesn't really feel appropriate to truly have them as true pickups this year since I've had them for a while. They're just now graded. That being my 0506 Artifacts rookie of Sidney Crosby and 1516 Young Gun of Connor McDavid. And both of those getting very strong grades with
It's nice.
tag earlier this year. Was very, very happy with both of those grades. Especially the Crosby, those are very condition sensitive cards. So to get a 9 on that one and then obviously a 10 on the McDavid is awesome. So again, even though they're not necessarily truly new additions to my collection, they are, new in a sense that, they were graded this year. So figured that would be an appropriate place to put them as the honorable mention on the list. So that is my honorable mention. And Aaron, you can kick things off with the true countdown with your number 10.
Yes, definitely. Well, first off, before we start into our top 10, I think Eric's is always going to just blow me out of the water once again. I think that's fair to say. We were going through this before we kind of went live here. We were like, because I know Eric, and I've done this before as well, but we like to kind of group our cards sometimes and, sort of like, yeah, it's a top 10, but some of these cards might be very, very similar in, a certain way. And so we kind of like to group a couple cards maybe together. And so I don't think we did that as much as years past. But I think Eric last year had like 30 something cards in
It
a
was a few
top
years
10.
ago, but yeah,
Yeah, a couple years
yeah.
ago, which was fine and totally warranted. And I think this year he was up to or down to 17. So definitely less cards, but they definitely hit pretty hard. So that'll be really fun to watch here. So, but yeah, just getting things started with my top 10. This one here, it is a custom card actually from Glenn. He goes by, I believe it's like something
Big
Barracuda.
Barracuda.
Big Barracuda. That's it. At first I was thinking Glenn Barracuda, but his name is Glenn, and I know there's something to do with Barracuda in there. So yeah, Big Barracuda there. He's a huge Whalers fan there, and he also does custom cards as of this year. And he's done really well, kind of getting his name out there as a guy who does custom cards and purely for the love of the hobby. And he's definitely made a name for himself. I think I even saw some of his cards at the fall expo, in a couple of people's showcases, which is really cool. So, and a couple of people kind of looking into them really. So, kudos to him for getting his designs kind of recognized that way. And I think so quickly too was great. I know he's done a lot on social media kind of promoting them, and he's done really, really well there. So big thanks to Glenn for this custom. That's why I wanted to put it in my top 10. Just big thanks to you. Was part of his at the time, his new sort of NHL career cloth booklet design that he was sort of undertaking at the time. And there's a picture there on the screen there. So it's a 4-way booklet, as you can see, and folds up real nice. And so it is filled with a bunch of manufactured patches, but still cool nonetheless. A great custom there. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to Glenn and his custom work. You could find him on Instagram. And yeah, I mean, just an amazing custom card. And just wanted to give him a shout out here. Yeah, I know that a lot of people have had his booklets, and I know Eric has had one as well, if not a couple. And so I mean, they're great cards, and just wanted to throw it in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Really cool card. And to clarify, Big Barracuda, I think is his name on Hobby Insider. On Instagram, he is Glenn Barracuda.
That's
So,
okay. That's what I was thinking. Okay, yeah.
yep.
So at Glenn Barracuda, you can find him on Instagram. Yeah, so great little account there, and you'll see all of his custom work, and maybe put in a big request or two.
Yep, absolutely. A great example of the awesome custom work that Glenn does. And I know you were really excited to add that one to your collection. So, really, really cool there. For my number 10, um, like you were saying, it is a category. So, I apologize. There are a few of these throughout. But, um, as Aaron was saying, there's a lot of cards that definitely deserve the attention. And then if they kind of make sense working together, then great. Tried not to do it too much, but sometimes you just got to do it. So for number 10, I have two pretty cool additions to my Marc-Andre Fleury collection this year. The first being from SP Game Used, one of the Game Used glass cards from the Lake Tahoe games.
I love those.
And then the second one being a Metal Universe green PMG out of 10. So yeah, obviously they both are kind of cards that just speak for themselves. Honestly, there's not a whole lot more that really needs to be said about either of them. But yeah, when the idea of the glass cards was first kind of put out there, and then they started coming out, just thought it would be such a cool card to have. And I remember watching those games. So yeah, definitely was a card that I wanted. And then working on that. Metal Universe Rainbow, obviously the green PMG was the toughest remaining card for me to go after there. So yeah, was happy to finally cross that one off my list.
That's fantastic. I love those glass cards. Those cards are pretty thick, right? I'm not sure
They
if you
are.
have it on your desk there, but
I don't. It's like I want to say they're probably
pretty
around like
thick.
600 or 700 points, something like that.
Yeah,
They're pretty big.
yeah. But I mean, great card. I mean, you're housing a piece of glass, so it's got to be pretty thick. So yeah, great cards, man. But I love that glass card. It's so cool, and the card itself looks amazing. With the you know background image there. You got some nice trees on the side there too. It's just so outdoorsy and great, and I love it. It's just fantastic. You have the outdoor uniforms there, and just amazing. So great card. So I can't really follow up that too much. I mean, pretty good for a number 10, I would say. But for me, I guess it's similar to your honorable mention where, it is a tag graded card. And so this next one for me at number 9 would be a 0910 Enroth graded tag card. Came in with a 9 mint grade, which is fantastic. It is my very first tag graded card that I submitted back at the Spring Expo. They were having a little promo running it with Slab Sharks. So I just had to get a tag card in my collection. For those who don't know, I'm collecting as much graded companies as possible with these Young Gun cards. So I mean, I'm up to I think 5 graded companies now. So it was just more for that more than anything. I just sort of threw one in my backpack. When I was leaving for the show, didn't care too much about the actual grade. I just figured, hey, it's going to be a very cheap, submission, and just throwing up for the collection. So very happy to have this card in a 9. And again, it was my first experience with tag, and it was really, really great. And definitely, not so much the slabs, although they are great. Definitely, as far as seeing, the grading sort of profile once you get a card back from tag, definitely kind of goes into why this card graded the way it did, and definitely, has a whole level of enjoyment that I previously didn't experience. So it's a great thing to have the card for sure, but just getting to experience that tag grading experience was really cool as well. So if you haven't checked these guys out, definitely do. Especially if you're hanging on to a few cards and you want to maybe get them graded sometime soon. So yeah, cool little milestone in the collection there, and just want to throw this up as my number 9.
Yep, we're both big fans of what Tag does, so was glad that you were able to get in on that experience and go through the process yourself and add that to your collection. Just wanted to throw this up, Kurt. This is Kurt Johnson, our buddy. saying that the newer glass cards in SP
That's
Gaming are
cool.
actually thinner, and that's true. They managed to
Mm.
get them scaled way down on the thickness. I'm not sure exactly how they did that, but they
Mm.
were actually inserted into packs last time.
Really? That's interesting.
Whereas with those like Tahoe Games cards, they were redemption cards because obviously you're not hiding a card that's almost an inch thick or whatever. So, but yeah, they were able to pare them
That's great.
down to, I think, pretty close to just like a normal patch thickness. So they were inserted into packs in the last release, which is pretty
That's really
cool.
cool, actually. Yeah, I didn't know
So,
that. I figured they were still redemptions. So,
yep.
yeah, good for collectors. Imagine pulling that in a pack. You know what I mean? Especially if you're new to the hobby, being like, "This is great. A piece of glass this is awesome."
Yeah. Yep. So good shout from Kurt there on that one. From my number nine, again, a category I know, I'm sorry, but two really, really cool vintage memorabilia cards. First one being a really cool Gordie Howe stick piece that features the D from Northland and then the full custom word from the Custom Pro graphic next to the Northland logo. So that was a really cool piece. I mean, you can't go wrong with a really interesting and unique piece of a player like Gordie Howe. And then the second one being a Jack Adams skate lace card from ITG Superlative. I am a big sucker for skate lace cards, especially those vintage leather ones. So, I saw that card and just said, yep, like I got to have that. That's a really cool piece of hockey history. So, again, kind of two cards that speak for themselves, but you can never go wrong with nice vintage memorabilia.
That's awesome. I mean, the first one there, it feels like it was kind of going back in time. Like that looks like totally ripped from an old in the game set, which is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. It definitely very nostalgic look to a somewhat newer card, which is great. And of course, having that vintage memorabilia from Gordie Howe is just a legend. Like I can just see him using that stick very much, and I'm not talking about scoring goals. Obviously he played a certain way back in the day, like they all did, and I could see Gordie definitely using that stick in more ways than one. So it's so cool. Like, I know memorabilia is kind of a dime a dozen nowadays, but it's so cool seeing those vintage memorabilia pieces. Just, equipment was different back then and you need to make that stuff last. And so it's just really cool seeing these pieces and kind of wondering how long was this used or, stuff like that. And obviously with the Adams there, I mean, it's a piece of skate lace from like over 100 years ago. The leather lace there, pretty cool. So, I mean, just amazing pieces of vintage memorabilia. So
And that's kind
amazing.
of one thing, like you were saying, like kind of generic memorabilia is like a dime a dozen nowadays. So that's kind of one thing that I've really gotten into a lot more over the last few years is those unique memorabilia pieces. Something that feels different, feels unique, stands out a bit more. Even just like you can go find a Gordie Howe stick card fairly easily. There's a lot from Leaf and stuff like that. So even just like a plain stick piece isn't necessarily like crazy unique or crazy exciting or interesting or valuable, but then you're able to find something like this, and that is obviously a lot more unique and interesting. So that's kind of things that have kind of just stood out to me a lot more over the last few years as those more unique memorabilia pieces.
Especially the custom thing there. I just want to point that out in the how again. I mean, I've seen a lot of the branded ones, which are obviously still cool, but just having the full custom word there, I don't know if I've seen that on too many vintage memorabilia sticks. I'm sure they're out there, but I just, seeing that on a house stick just makes it extra cool, you know. So amazing. So I will kind of jump down to my number 8. Again, not as, hard hitting as Eric's, especially as I see a preview here of his number 8,
It's not a
but
competition. It's never a competition.
it's not, but it is. So anyway, but it's just a little internal competition as far as the podcast, but I say this, in all, in the best way possible, of course. So, anyway, so number 8, this one here is from 0809, the Cup, and it is a Mike Mole printing plate from OPG. So, yep, there it is right there. So, for those who don't know, or are new to the podcast, Mike was my goalie coach back in 2010, 2011-ish. So he told me that he had some cards of him out there back in the day. And I just figured, hey, as a card collector, I'm going to try and get some of your cards. And, that kind of just took on a life of its own right there. He doesn't have too many out there. And so I have basically every card except for one, non one of one. I still need the Artifacts rookie out of 5 and a couple one of ones, and of course all the printing plates as well. So anytime I can add, a plate of his, it's always kind of cool. And I mean, it's a guy you probably haven't heard of, so printing plates like that usually don't get listed, and so whenever I can find one, it's always really really cool. So um, definitely notable. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, it's a pretty notable addition. So I was able to pick one up last year as well. So to pick one up again this year is fantastic. So just wanted to put this one here at number 8.
Yeah, this is the beauty of really both of our collections. I feel like is we both, not even as our main collection, but we have some smaller player collections that are guys that 99.999% of hockey fans have no clue who they are, but the collections are really meaningful to us. And as a result, when you can find something like this, especially all these years later, is just like one of the sweetest feelings as a collector to just be like, yes, like this is a card no one else cares about, but it means so much to me to be able to add a card like that to my collection. So, yeah, the fact that, like you said, not only just finding one all these years later, but one in back-to-back years all these years later is really, really cool. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
I was really excited when you were able to pick that one up.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Eric, I'm not sure if you can re- relate to this point exactly, but I mean, I know for me, collecting sort of a oddball player, it's led to certain conversations that you might not have with other players or player collectors. So a couple times I've showcased this collection, whether it be on the podcast or on forums or through Facebook groups or something like that. Like I'm looking for this type of player, and it's such an oddball thing where everyone's looking for Crosby's or McDavid's, so people might kind of scroll past, and it's not that they're not interested, it's just they see those posts so often. But every time a post like this might pop up, it might sort of catch their eye, if you're sort of an onlooker to these Facebook groups or forums or whatever. And so what that has led to has been unique conversations over the years when I've showcased this collection. Guys who have played with him, or I had one guy reach out once that he actually roomed with Mike back during like the OHL days or something like that, or training camp days or something like that. Or, it might have even been, or maybe this was another guy who roomed with him, I think during like Islanders camp or something like that. So it kind of brings up these stories, not from yourself, but from other people as well. And I think that's the unique thing about, collecting a unique player, because, when people kind of see these guys kind of showcase, and it might have been the only time you kind of see these guys showcased out there, you know, it kind of unlocks certain memories for these guys. And I think it kind of gravitates them wanting to kind of share with you, hey, like I never expected to see a post about this guy. Let me share you this story about him. Whereas, you might not get that stuff about the Crosbys or McDavids out of the world because it just kind of blends into all the other posts about him. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure if that makes total sense or if you have a similar story. But I think collecting these obscure guys definitely leads to, if you're vocal about it, definitely leads to unique stories, I think, about a collection or the guy you collect that you might not hear otherwise. So just wanted to throw that out there. It's definitely been my experience over the years, and pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that is really cool. I don't know that I have any exact types of experiences like that, but yeah, I mean, even not, you'll have people that will just say like, "Oh, that's interesting. Like, I've never heard of this guy before." Or like, "That's cool that something like that means a lot to you," when it doesn't mean anything to most people. So
Or like a
yeah,
fan, I'm not sure if you've had this as well, like a fan might reach out being like, I remember when he played.
yeah,
It might have been like a minor league team or whatever, but for them, maybe it was their local team. And it's like, oh, like, it might not have been NHL, but I remember when they played, they were great for our team. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So you get other memories like that where it might not be a personal encounter, but it might be just, like it might be at the minor league level, but this guy was a fan favorite or whatever it was. And I remember when this guy played and I was a big fan or something like that. So you get those experiences as well, which is really cool.
yes, as Kurt points out, like Alex Pyrus.
Exactly. Like, I don't know who that is, but I mean, yeah, I'm going to agree with it.
Yeah,
So,
so Alex was a player for the Minnesota North Stars back in the 70s.
okay.
So Kurt
Okay.
remembers
All right.
watching him
All right.
play, and Alex is a friend of my dad and I. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Nice. That's cool. That's
so
cool.
we have a kind of an ongoing running joke of, oh, Alex Pyrus. But yep, this is a fitting question. We'll talk on since we're talking about Mike Mull. Josh had the question of, do you have any Mike Mull game worn jerseys?
I do.
And there may or may not be the answer on the screen, but I'll let you talk to
I
that.
do. So in the background there, you can see kind of a, part of a jersey there. So that's actually one of his 0809 Utah Grizzly jerseys. So pretty cool. Have that photo match and all that stuff. It was, I believe it was my first game used jersey purchase for my collection. So pretty cool. And I love the Utah, ECHL at the time jerseys. They're really cool. And they still have good jerseys to this day. So cool logo and everything like that. And yeah, it's fantastic. Um, Really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, like kind of just talking about stuff like this is kind of like almost the root of the podcast, like going back and talking about the obscure stuff that we like. So I'm glad that this card gave us the opportunity to discuss that. For my number 8, very much the opposite. Still a goalie, but somebody that pretty much everybody has probably heard of at this point, I would like to hope and think. This is actually my very first pickup of 2024. It had actually arrived in 2023, but I think we were like racing out the door for the holidays as it arrived. So I just said, I intended on this being a 2024 pickup. So I'm just going to wait to open it until we get back. And I think I opened it literally at like 12:02 a.m. on January 1st to have it officially be a
That's a
2024
2024
pickup.
pickup. I would
So
agree.
yes. So my number 8, this is the lone one on the list for my 0304 project, is the SP Authentic Future Watch autograph, numbered out of 900, of Marc-Andre Fleury.
Such a good card. Like the design, we were talking about retros last episode, but they've recently thrown this one back. I don't mind it as much. Just such a good design. I mean, amazing.
Yes. And a card that you had beat me to, I believe. You have one of these, right?
I do. I picked it up before the craziness.
Yeah.
I believe I picked it up like prior to like 2015 even. I got it for like, I don't even know, but it was like a steal of a deal. I think it was like, I don't even know. It was embarrassing how much I paid for it, really. So, and same with my Young Gun too. I think I traded like a oh my, like I forget what I traded like a random jersey card. And
I think you said it was like a Kevin Bieksa SPX
Bieksa, that's the one.
jersey
Yeah,
auto or
it
something.
was a Bieksa jersey auto for a Young Gun straight up, just because the guy didn't like Fleury, and I'm like, okay.
That guy's a psycho.
Yeah, like in fairness, it was. I think they were not great at the time, like playoff wise, and it was just like, I don't like the Penguins, don't like Fleury, like I'll do it, whatever. And that was for a Young Gun at the time, and so got the Future Watch not too long after. I don't know if it was like a cash trade deal or just straight cash, but it was not much at all. Yeah, so I got kind of lucky on that one. But yeah, great card. And I mean, at this point, he's farther along in his career and future Hall of Famer, and he's about to end his career all nicely here. So, I mean, at this point, you just got to, get it for whatever it is and just kind of call it done. But for a card like this, that's it's not too bad.
Yeah, and kind of a fun story. This one came from my buddy Mike Miller, and he actually pulled this card at release and had it in his collection for close to 20 years before we made the deal.
That's great.
So yeah, being the second owner of a card that's 20 years old really doesn't happen very often, I feel like. So, and just having that provenance, knowing the backstory of it, knowing that it's been in the same collection that whole time, just kind of makes it feel a little bit more special. Obviously, coming from a friend too, but yeah, kind of just knowing, oh, this hasn't changed hands 15 times. I don't know, just that feels a little unique in this day and age in the hobby. So, just kind of a cool little tidbit there. So that is my number 8.
Love it. I'm going to move down to my number 7. It is another tag rated card.
Love it.
This one, yeah, I know, it's great. So this one is from 1617 Series 2, and it is the Enroth Upper Deck exclusives, 35 out of 100. And that's significant because it is his jersey number when he was on the Leafs for a couple games. And yeah, I mean, he only wore 35, in the NHL this one time. So it's the only 35 numbered card that he can have as far as his jersey number. All the other ones are number 1. So pretty significant. And as far as cards go, it's the only card that's going to get, 35 out of whatever. So, I mean, it's the only Leaf jersey number card he's going to have. And as a Leaf fan, I love that. And as a player collector, I love that. And so I just had to pick this one up. I believe this was submitted at the same show. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe it was because when I was checking the progress report on, my Young Gun graded card and searching up Enroth in the database to see if it had been posted yet, I saw this card pop up first, and I realized, man, another guy submitted an Enroth card. That's weird. And I realized it was because it was the jersey numbered card. So pretty cool. And not too long after that, it came up on eBay, and very fair price, and I was able to snag that. So pretty cool. And this one came back a 9 as well. And so this one, I couldn't really care less if it's graded or not, but I'll leave it in there. But just this one, I just wanted the card, not the grade, and definitely worked out well. So for some, might not be that cool, but for me, it's awesome. And I know some people out there love jersey numbered cards. And, for this one, him on the Leafs just makes it really special there. So, and like I said, it's his only 35 jersey numbered card out there. So another layer of significance there. So pretty cool. And behind it there in the background, if you can see on the photo, is one of his game used jerseys on the Leafs. As you can see, number 35 in the background. So pretty cool. And I just want to showcase this one for my number 7.
Yeah, awesome to find that card. I know you had been hoping that you would find that card one day.
Yeah, it's something that I mentioned to you a little while ago, where I think we were talking about jersey number cards or something, and this was one where I actually specifically mentioned being like, I know it's out there somewhere, haven't seen it. I've checked ePack a bunch of times, maybe it's on there, just could never land it. And this one just came out of nowhere, and I just figured, hey, that's really cool, and I just have to try and get it for the collection.
Yeah, so zoom in there so you can get a better look at the serial number there.
35 out of 100, so really cool.
Yeah, so awesome that you're able to find that card and get it into your collection. I know that was a really exciting thing when that happened. For my number 7, dipping back into the categories again, I apologize, but this is kind of interesting because when I was first kind of sculpting my list, I wasn't even sure if any of these cards were going to make the list. And then there was one card that was going to be on the list that, because of the Canada Post stuff and some other stuff, it still is not in my possession yet. So as such, that kind of opened up a spot on the list. And then it was, it's kind of like, okay, it'd be fitting for, one or two of these cards. And then literally just over the last couple weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, two of these 4 cards that I will show popped up on eBay, and I was able to get both of them. So yeah, kind of all of these combined to be one category, that being notable additions this year to my Nicholas Hjalmarsson collection. So I'll kind of go around the horn here. In the top left is a mega patch sleeve number 2 out of 4. And you might think, well, yeah, that's a nice card and everything, but just on its own, like, it's kind of, what's so special about it? I'll pop this off the screen and then pop up why it is significant. Is because that number 2 out of 4 finished off the complete set of 4 for
Love
that mega
it.
patch. So, yeah,
Love
I
it.
don't I don't know that I have actually shown off all 4 together,
So cool.
because I had kind of just gotten behind on scanning and did not actually have the 4 of them scanned together until earlier today. So, there are the 4 of them all together. Obviously, really, really cool and fun to finish off a mega patch set, even though it is just 4 cards. Every you know,
That's awesome.
what I say about mega patch sets is all it takes is 1. If one of them doesn't show up or one of them, someone outbids you on or whatever, all it takes is 1 to, eliminate the possibility of getting the complete set. So just the fact that all 4 of them surfaced and the fact that all 4 of them are now in my collection is obviously really, really exciting. So the number 2 out of 4 I acquired back in the spring, and yeah, that finished off the set of 4 there. So that's the first of the
That's
4
awesome.
notable Jalmerson editions.
So
I'll pop
cool.
up the rest here. The middle on the top and the top right are the 2 cards that popped up recently in this month. Both kind of funny from SP Game News. The middle one there is from 22-23, the tonight's lineup 1 of 1 that has his name off of a lineup card. And what's really cool about that is, as of right now, that is his last NHL card that was produced.
That's really cool.
His only card made in
Bittersweet,
22-23. Yes.
but really cool.
Yeah. So I was really hoping that I would be able to find that card one day. And yeah, just out of nowhere popped up on eBay and was able to win the auction for that. I say it's his last NHL card as of now because I am very hopeful that he will be included in the Blackhawks Centennial product that Upper Deck will be putting out during the Blackhawks Centennial season coming up. So, hopefully he will make an appearance in that product and get him some more cards that way. But like I said, as of right now, that is his final NHL card. So I was really glad to add that. Top right is from 2020-21 SP Game Used. It is the true base card numbered out of 4. And of course, if you guys are familiar with how the SP Game Used base cards work, for most players, the final card of the print run is an autograph card, which Upper Deck treats as a 1 of 1 since it's the only one in the print run that is signed. So the 4 out of 4 Jalmerson, which I do have, is autographed, meaning that there's really only 3 of the actual base cards. And I had seen one of them on ePack, I think like right after the product came out on ePack, and I don't know what happened with it. Whoever had it, I don't know if they just transferred it and had it sent home or what happened, but I couldn't make a deal for it. So that just left 2 out of 4 and 3 out of 4, for me to find. And like I said earlier this month, fortunately, the 3 out of 4 copy popped up on eBay, and I was able to get a deal done for that. So yeah, crossing off 2 huge cards just like out of nowhere is definitely not something that happens for my Jalmerson collection pretty much ever anymore. Yeah, so the fact that those both popped up in the matter of days of each other was really, really exciting and a really fun way to kind of end the year on a hobby standpoint. And then, of course, at the bottom, you see one of the Upper Deck printing plate booklets from the Cup. I absolutely love those cards. I think it was a great idea that Billy and his team had, and the execution on them is always really nice. So I was able to find that one earlier this year, and yeah, kind of when thinking about this Jalmerson category, knew that one needed to be included as well. So 4 pretty nice Jalmerson cards entering the collection this year, with the highest print run of those being out of 4. So yeah, pretty cool.
That's awesome. I mean, just amazing. It's like you mentioned, with the Jalmerson collection, didn't really expect anything more this year, and things just sort of popped up out of nowhere. I mean, I love how the hobby works sometimes, where, especially for a more, obscure player or ones that people might not think, oh, is there much of a following for this guy? for cards to pop up like that is just amazing. And it's what, we live for, right? I mean, it's, a thrill that, I don't think you would have seen coming, as far as the end of 2024. But it's a great feeling, isn't it? It's just awesome seeing those cards kind of pop up. It's like, where did this come from? It's amazing. And
Yep.
then a couple weeks later, or whatever it was, like, oh, what again? Like, what's happening right now? So it's stuff that is just awesome and totally, it's what we live for, right? As collectors, you never know what's around the corner, and it's always full of surprises, this hobby. So huge congrats on these cards. I don't know if I can choose a favorite. Probably the number patch, just because it finishes off that 4 card rainbow there,
Hmm.
so to speak. So I love that stuff. And but I will say about the 304 SB game used, the scan doesn't really do it justice. It kind of
Yep.
blows it out a little bit. That's not a bad thing. It looks like a great scan, but the foil on it, yeah, you have a picture right there. Even the webcam, it's not really picking up as well as it could, because it really has a really nice shine, like in, say, a natural light. It's
Get
just amazing.
get my phone flashlight on it. That'll help.
Yeah, to really brighten it up. Yeah, there we go. So like, just really, yeah, if you're here watching live, it's just amazing. So these cards were originally done with SB Gaming CHL, and it was sort of a new thing that Billy wanted to try. And we were on when he was sort of talking about that product, and he did mention sort of the process about these base cards. And so it's something that he wanted to bring up to the NHL level with, with their SB Gaming products. So to see him do it that year, and kind of have it continue on, and have a card for your collection, not only one, but the autograph version as well, is really cool. And the cards look fantastic. So just wanted to point that out there. And as far as, you mentioned earlier, but the tonight's lineup card being the final card as of this point, as of this podcast of John Merson, is again a really cool thing. Bittersweet, but still cool. So and the plates kind of speak for itself, which is awesome. So great cards. Just gonna continue on for my number 6. We have Gretzky. Gretzky at number 6 sounds a little weird, but nevertheless, I thought it was worth mentioning. So this one is something I just recently talked about from the Expo. Kind of recap. This one is from 0304 SB Game Use. It is the limited threads jersey card out of 75 of Wayne Gretzky. That is him pictured as an Oiler, and of course some Oilers memorabilia right there too, which is I'm not going to go too like super deep on this, but it's something that I've always wanted for a while. A nice game used piece of Gretzky. I had one years ago, but unfortunately got rid of it at the time. And if I ever had the chance to pick another Oilers memorabilia card up, I would definitely jump at the chance. So this one kind of came up out of nowhere at the Expo for a really good price. And considering it's Gretzky, and decided to snatch this one up. And Eric actually has its twin as well, so which was really cool. I didn't know about that at the time, so just wanted to pick that one up. And yeah, I mean, card kind of speaks for itself. It's Wayne Gretzky, and it's Oilers memorabilia, so game use, so pretty awesome.
Yeah, hard to go wrong with something like that. And yeah, when you told me that you picked it up, it was just funny because I have had a copy of that card in my collection since I think like spring of 2020. And I believe our copies are only like maybe 2 or maybe 3 serial numbers apart.
Yeah,
So
something like that.
it's just funny how that worked out.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, hard to go wrong with a really nice Gretzky Oilers memorabilia card from the mid 2000s. It's, that's, you guys know how I feel about 0304, but that's prime hobby years for sure, especially when it comes to stuff like this. So
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it on the pod earlier when I recapped the Expo, but as far as this time period for Gretzky memorabilia, it was one of the last times, as far as Upper Deck goes, that there was some game used, NHL memorabilia there. I mean, I know they have some stuff now, but for a while they used, an equipment bag, and then I think now they use still cool, but they use a practice worn a jersey at this point. So, I don't blame them. I mean, Gretzky jerseys are expensive, and so again, I don't mind it. But as far as the time period of this memorabilia card, as far as Gretzky is concerned, it definitely is different than some of the stuff we see today, depending on the card you're looking at. So, just an extra kind of tidbit of information.
Yeah, you'll still see some game use stuff in like the cup and stuff like that, but
Right.
just as far as like kind
The
of
regular stuff.
run of the mill types of products and insert memorabilia sets and stuff, things like this were fairly common at the time, which yeah is really fun to think about honestly. But yeah, so great card, great design, great product. So yeah, it was really cool to see you pick that one up. Speaking of legendary goal scorers, my number 6 is of the best goal scorer of all time. I think a lot of people would probably say that at this point.
Probably.
But is a 2005-06 Upper Deck Trilogy rookie out of 999 of Alex Ovechkin. And I love this set. These rookie cards are absolutely stunning in person. If you guys have a favorite player who is a rookie that had a card in this set, please go ahead and grab one because they are just beautiful cards. Shout out to Josh Packham. I know you have a copy of this card in your collection, Josh. They are just stunning cards. Everything that you see in the background there that kind of looks like silverish is actually like a rainbow foil board. So they are just stunning cards in person. A really nice design, nice full body photo there. Just a really nice card. And I'd been wanting to pick up a nice Ovechkin rookie card for my collection for a while. I used to have the Artifacts rookie way back in the day, but traded that away probably in like 2007 or something. So it's been a long time since I've had a quality Ovechkin rookie card, and knowing that he is very quickly approaching the goal record definitely kind of made me say, okay, like I got to do this now while stuff is still attainable. So yeah, being able to pick this one up was a no-brainer for sure, and yeah, definitely a really nice card, and glad to have it in my collection.
Awesome. I'll kind of let the card speak for itself there. I mean, it'll be a different story once he breaks the record, but obviously leading up to it is amazing. Yeah, and Josh said there he bought the Crosby to pair with this year. So I mean, same thing for Crosby. I mean, just an iconic year for cards as far as the trilogy cards.
I would
I don't
love to get
know.
that card one day as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, exactly. Just kind of pair them up. Yeah, definitely with these trilogy ones, they look fantastic. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. Amazing card of a great goal scorer. So moving on here, this is my number 5. So we're halfway through. This one is of another Enroth card, big surprise, from 0910, and it is a printing plate, the cyan plate from Upper Deck Black, a product that I love. I would love to see this product make a return again, but we'll have to see what happens. But this is for the Letterman cards, so I mean, not too much as far as the plate goes. I mean, there's not too much going on with it, but kind of cool to see the behind the scenes, so to speak, of a card design without the big memorabilia piece there. So definitely really cool. So this is just something I picked up earlier this year from Sweden, and just a nice card, and another one of one.
Another Enroth 101. That's a good problem to
I know
have.
it's a decent theme this year.
Yes, absolutely. And kind of what's interesting, they did this a lot like in that little stretch of years there. But if the original card was an autograph card, they would have the guy sign the plate. And we see that now. Like I even think of the printing plate booklets, like the Hjalmarsson. Sometimes they'll like build extra cardboard onto the booklet to allow the guy to sign. But back then they would just have the player like actually sign the plate, which
Yeah,
is just kind of an interesting way of doing it. So obviously you see that here with this Enroth, even though the card itself was never signed. It was the letter that was signed that was then
right.
embedded into the card. So it's just kind of an interesting little quirk to the card, but really cool nonetheless.
Definitely.
So yeah, obviously, like you said, it's a good day whenever you can add an Enroth one of one to the collection. So kudos on that. My next one, where are we on now? Number 5 here. Again, going back to great goal scorers, and we talked about this guy earlier with Aaron's number 6. So for my number 5 is also a Gretzky memorabilia card. It is from 2005-06 Upper Deck Artifacts, a treasured patches out of 50 of Wayne Gretzky. And yeah, just a stunning Lady Liberty patch there from the Rangers. Really not too much more that needs to be said there. Just a stunning card that really speaks for itself.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this as well, around the same time as my Gretzky pickup. So not too much more to say about the card. It looks fantastic, and yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the great one. I think that's all that needs to be said there. And what a great patch. Obviously his Oilers memorabilia is the top stuff. But as far as the Rangers jersey, it definitely produces some really great patches, especially from that era and that jersey specifically. So amazing pickup there.
And one kind of fun thing, I know I mentioned this at the time, but you guys saw earlier in the show the 05-06 Artifacts Crosby rookie. So kind of just like a loose pairing there, but to have a really cool Gretzky card from that product kind of to go along with that Crosby rookie from the product is kind of just a nice little added tidbit as well.
Nice. Just gonna go on down. This is number 4 for me. This is another Enroth card. Excuse me if you've heard this before, but this one is another one of one. And this one is from President's Choice. This one was created earlier this year, and it is the one of one complete jersey made to order card, which is just stunning in every way possible. Dr. Price was kind enough to create this for my collection, and it was my first son of kind of go through with the made to order program. It was something that he sort of adopted from back in the game days. Back in the day, you could pull a redemption, and he would have sort of a card in mind for you. You can choose the memorabilia and things like that, which was great. And I know at the time he would really work with you as far as getting these really great memorabilia pieces for that one card for your collection, again made for you, right? So just amazing card right here. It was from his time with the LA Kings, and this card actually helped sort of, I guess, inspire the complete jersey cards on his site right now. So really cool. I love the design. I love the simplicity with the card, and of course those memorabilia pieces just sort of pop. You have right there on the top the jersey, you have the fight strap below that, and then you have a blocker and glove piece as well there. So really, really great card, and just another awesome one of one pickup this year.
Yeah, really cool design, and I love the fact that, like you said, it inspired other complete package and then complete jersey cards using the same design that have been on his site, in the time since. So a lot of other people have gotten to enjoy this design as a result of, you're wanting to have this card made. So that's something that now both of us have kind of gotten to experience, being
Which is
the
great.
first person to have a certain design, and then it leads to other people being able to enjoy it as well. So yeah, but just a beautiful card. Great memorabilia pieces there. I know you love the photo on it. So yeah, just an awesome piece for your collection for sure. Um, yeah, so not much more to say about that one. It's a sweet card, and I know you were really excited to get that done. So really, really nice there. We'll stick to kind of the complete type of concept here for my number 4. This one, I don't call it a complete pad, but that's essentially what it is from President's Choice again this year, a 6-piece pad card of George Vezina. And Dr. Price made these cards earlier this year, kind of just wanting to make more of these. The quote unquote original 6-piece pad cards came in the Vezina collection as it was kind of a weird roundabout way how they got out. There were art cards in the product that then they got lost in the mail. So then he made these complete pad cards to make up for it. Then the art cards showed up. So then he had already made the complete pad cards. What do I do with them? So anyway, the Vezina collection ones were kind of the first 6-piece pad cards for Vezina, but there have been a couple other designs that have come out in the time since, this being one of them earlier this year. So when they were made available, obviously that was a card that I really wanted to add to my collection, and most notably of the pieces there, the strap having one of the holes there is definitely a little unique thing there that I was really glad that the copy that I got has that featured. So yeah, but just a cool card. Obviously, the form in the background, a nice full body image of Vesna, and 6 really nice different pad materials there. So again, another card that kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, what else could you say about this card? I mean, it's a Vesna 6-piece memorabilia card. I love the design. I think it's great. And I mean, just stunning all the way around. And I'm just sort of, as you were talking, just sort of looking at the different memorabilia pieces there. And I mean, just amazing. So just the history behind these pads is something else. And, you definitely don't see anything like this anymore. And so to have another piece of it, multi pieces of it, all in one card is just amazing. So I'll kind of move on now to my next card. This is kind of it for one of ones as far as the next two. But this one at number three, for many people won't be number three, but for me it is. This one is from 2012, sort of an oddball card, but it is the Fair Play and Respect Swedish playing card of Enroth. And for those who don't know, these cards were, like I said, released around 2012, and they were meant originally as a educational tool. And they were released by the Swedish Ice Hockey Federation. So these were released out to their minor hockey teams as part of a educational initiative to teach players about sort of the correct conduct, whether it be on or off the ice. So each card in this deck here has sort of like a quick Q&A on the front of the card. And yeah, just a really cool piece here. I've seen the older one released in 2006, but as far as a couple years ago, I didn't even know that these existed. And just was lucky enough to pick up an autographed version this year, and really, really cool. So these were released digitally as well as in smaller quantities as a physical version as well. So this is one of the physical version released, and like I said, it has the extra attribute of it being autographed, but just the fact that I was able to reel this card in was one of those ones that didn't really expect it, but just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And luckily, a friend of mine in Sweden was able to help me out and land this card for my collection. So huge thanks to Victor, who was able to do that, and it now safely resides in my collection. So a little bit of an oddball, but for those who have been player collecting a long time, you know that sometimes these cards are, you might not know about them, but when you do, it's kind of one of those ones that you kind of got to have. And for me, I just love the story behind cards like these. It's so unique and so interesting. And that's what makes it, in some cases, quite rare to find. And this one, as far as the 2006 set, the 2012s are, in my limited experience, definitely a lot tougher to come by. So again, to find one this year has been awesome. And a card that might not move the needle for a lot of people definitely does for me. So a really cool pickup. And yeah, I just wanted to showcase this one here at number three.
Yeah, a really, really cool card. You touched on the things that I was going to touch on, so I won't ramble on just for the sake of rambling, but really cool whenever you can find something incredibly unique like that, especially all these years later. So job well done on that one. For my number three is a card that we referenced earlier in the show, a card that I'm sure you have all seen hundreds, if not thousands of times at this point, but it is still a great card nonetheless, that being a Connor Bedard Young Gun. Like I said, this is the card that I pulled it the day after release. Had picked up a ton of retail configurations of the product with the hope of pulling this card. And out of all of the blasters and mega boxes and tins, this was in the last one that I opened. So I was definitely getting nervous as we got down to the end there, but yeah, finally pulling that card in that last tin was just a huge sigh of relief. And yeah, I mean, it's people obviously like Young Guns. They're certainly not hard to find, but there is something just really exciting when you can pull that big time young gun. It's just a really good feeling. And then, of course, when it's a player you really like who's on your favorite team, you know, even better. So, yeah, that was a thrill for this year for sure, being able to pull that card myself. And then obviously, you know, I submitted it to tag with the Crosby and the McDavid, and then there was also a Slavin Young Gun that I submitted as well. And yeah, just being able to get a 10 on that card, you know, you can't ask for much more than that. So great result, and yeah, definitely one of my highlights of the year for sure. And as Josh points out, it appears that he has remembered how to play hockey. Anybody that's been truly watching the Blackhawks, I think you'll be able to see the talent there. It's just the fact that he really hasn't had much to work with, and the coach that they let go of recently, his system was very much not an offensive oriented system. So that obviously was not doing Connor any favors. But yeah, since the coaching change of late, you know, he's looked a lot better from a production standpoint. So, you know, and not even just him, a lot of other players as well. So, but yes, that is true, Josh. So, yeah, that's number 3 for me. But as far as like actual moments of collecting throughout the year, it would be hard to beat this one.
That's awesome. I mean, he's the guy that everyone's looking for, but I think for yourself as a Blackhawks guy and who has a kind of like a mini collection of him going on right now, I think it's definitely a notable pickup for sure. And of course, it being, a 10 gem mint from Tag is another layer to it that I love so much. So great pickup for sure, and definitely deserves the spot. Absolutely. Moving on to number 2, we're getting there. This one for me is another oddball card. For some, it would probably be ranked a little higher, in the list, but for me, it's down here at the bottom at number 2. This is a 23-24 Orebro Swedish team issued card of Enroth, of course. So really, really cool here. So another background story on this one. This was released during the season, I presume, last year, but I didn't really know if it existed or not. I saw a couple other players had a card of them made, and these were released during a couple games where there would be sort of a featured player, and they'd be doing some signings after the game. And so, over the course of the year, I didn't see Enroth listed at all, and so I just figured, I mean, I'm sure he's doing some, but they just might not be advertising it for whatever reason, and that's fine. But until I knew, I couldn't really for sure tell if a card like this had existed. And then in the summer, there was a team event to sort of kick off the 24-25 season ahead of their preseason schedule that started a week later. And they posted that they would have sort of like a meet and greet sort of thing with fans. And I noticed that a team photographer had posted a link to a couple photos that he had taken from that little, kickoff event. And I noticed that on the card tables with a couple players of the team signing, there were these cards. And they had actually taken a picture of sort of the goalie table. And they had both the Jonas's, which are their goalies, they're signing autographs. And, they showed these cards on the table, which is a really cool thing. So I had my proof that there were cards made, which was awesome. And I tried to track some down, and luckily enough, a fan over there who attended the signing was able to let this one go for my collection. So a card that, again, it might not move the needle for a lot of people, but for those who've been player collecting a long time, especially with those tough team issued cards, you kind of know that unless it's through the team yourself or someone closely, near the team, definitely for NHL, but especially overseas, if you don't find these cards, it's very hard to do so after the fact. So the fact that I was able to, one, find, the existence of one, and two, actually land one for the collection is pretty big. So this one came in the early in the fall of this year. And again, it's one of those things where didn't expect it to happen, especially since the 23-24 season had concluded. But hey, found one and made sure to find one, and more importantly, land one for the collection, which was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, again, you pretty much said it all there, but the thing that kind of stands out to me, not only about the last one, the Team Sweden one, but also this one, is the fact that there's so much more to the story than just, oh, this is a card I need that I saw on eBay and I bought it.
Exactly.
There's so much more going on behind the scenes with these cards, and that's what really makes them special.
100%, 100%. It's not so much the cards, it's more the stories behind the cards, which I love. And I mean, for some, the made to order card, for example, would be probably like one or two for a lot of people, and rightfully so. But I just want to include these last two cards just to sort of highlight the stories behind them, because I think for me, that's what makes it at this point. It's the stories about how you acquire the cards, or the stories of the cards themselves and how they kind of came to exist in the first place, whether it be through a team initiative like this, or an educational tool or something like that. Just the reasons behind them existing, and then of course the acquisition story themselves is always pretty cool as well. So just wanted to highlight that for my number two.
Yes, certainly deserving of that spot because of the reasons that you mentioned for sure. So, job well done there. For my number two, we'll jump back into the categories. I know. And no, it will not be the last category of the night, but I think they're both warranted. So, for my number two are two cards that I, if you told me coming into the year that I would have these cards, I probably would have not believed you, for good reason. But uh, in addition, I mentioned the skate laces being a memorabilia type that I really like, but another type of memorabilia that I really enjoy, and I just find really interesting and unique, are stick handle cards. The nameplate off of player sticks. So two cards that I picked up this year are stick handles from President's Choice of Marty Brodeur and Marc Andre Fleury. So yeah, obviously two goaltending
Insane.
legends, and yeah, beautiful designs, and yeah, again, like they're cards that really just speak for themselves. Not a whole lot more needs to be said there, but both of these came from my buddy Mike Miller. Shout out to him again. But yeah, just beautiful cards, and certainly humbling to own pieces like that for sure. So, and kind of a cool thing about the Flurry is that's the same Pittsburgh Penguin stick that was used in the solid gold trophy winner cards. So, kind of cool to have that connection to a card that I had already, previously had in my collection. And cool that it has that Winter Classic inspired alternate jersey being used in the photo, and kind of that. I guess it's really more of a Vegas gold background color, but the Penguins still are, kind of that gold yellow, so it works in that regard as well. So, and we both really enjoyed this specific stick handle design as well, and then the Brodeur kind of being a little bit more of a monochromatic type of look works really well as well. So, yeah, two cards that I was very glad to add to my collection and really enjoy.
Yeah, I love these cards. One, because I love how insane these cards are, but in a weird way, I don't think it's right, but in a weird way, they're still sort of underrated, if that makes sense, because the fact that they're President's Choice. Like, I know that nameplate cards have been done to death, with Leaf and Upper Deck and stuff like that. I don't think it's a bad thing. I love these cards, but if these were to come out, say featuring an Upper Deck logo, even now or a couple years back, they would be just insane, like insane top tier, like
Yep.
cornerstones for everybody type pieces. And not that these aren't, like they definitely are. I think they are. But the fact that they're made by President's Choice, I think keeps it underrated for a lot of people, which is unfortunate. But, for those collectors who kind of know one, the background on President's Choice and, Brian's history in the hobby, and two, just what these cards are, I think it puts it, in our minds, that top level that it kind of deserves, which is great. And another thing I just want to say about these cards is that, and I was mistaken at first. Originally, I thought the first stick handle design was the silver ones, because when I first started, getting involved with President's Choice, that was the big thing. It was the silver stick handle cards as their first run. But I believe, and Eric can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but there was a smaller run of gold stick handle cards that were released, I guess, very soon, like maybe even before the site officially launched, because I know that was the case for a couple of cards. Um,
Correct.
I,
Yep.
I think like I was able to pick up an Enroth or two before I guess President's Choice went. Like they were around, but they were not as I guess live as they were. I think they wanted to sort of branch out with a smaller group of collectors first,
Hmm.
and even I guess before I got involved, there was this very very short run of gold stick handle cards that I didn't even see. Like they must have been sold, directly or went flying off that site because I didn't even know they existed. And I had seen maybe one or two, but I thought they were a limited release after the silvers. But then when Eric, picked this up and he showcased this on the podcast, he corrected me that these golds were actually the first stick handle cards made, which was really cool. And the fact that it was probably one of the first run of President's Choice cards ever, I would assume, created back in like I think they were like late 2016 ish, probably.
Yeah, like
Um,
16, 17.
yeah, 16, 17 was great. I think the site actually launched officially, I think early 2017, but I think there was cards available late 2016-ish. I could be wrong on that, but these were sort of around that time. And so the fact that the gold ones were kind of that first run of President's Choice cards ever was amazing. So just a start of something special, I think. So the fact that you were able to, one, pick up these two cards, and two, have this sort of interesting sort of nugget of, I guess, President's Choice history, you know, is really cool for me personally. So just amazing pickups there, and of course the fact that it's Fleury is awesome as well. So both big fans, and so yeah, just amazing cards in different ways. I think the story behind the card again is just what makes it for me.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And like Brett says, this design is just so clean and elegant. There have been some other stick handle designs that President's Choice has done over the years, and more recently that definitely don't have that same type of feel as these ones. They're still really nice. Nothing against them, at all. I have other designs as well, but there's something about this specific design. It just they hit it out of the park, and they just look really nice, and it just makes them feel like a really special card. So
Yeah, and there's also
definitely,
a black one as well. There's a black one with this design, and there's I think some blues as well when they have that Maple Leafs product. Maybe some whites as well. And
mhm.
then I know there was that other design featuring mainly a white, and there might have been another color mixed in with that newer design, but I could be wrong on that. So there's been a couple different designs and variation of those designs
Mhm.
over the years, but either way, I mean, they're all great cards, and I think they all look like really well done.
Yep. Yeah. But I would definitely say these take the cake. So good shout there, Brett. And I think we would both also agree with you that we're disappointed that
Same,
Flurry's not
same.
in the Four
I think he
Nations.
should have been a really good third pairing. I mean, if you look at the stats, I mean, he's right up there with those guys. He's having a really good year, and I think he deserved a number three spot. I mean, it's such a short tournament. You might as well. I mean, all the Team Canadas that we've seen over the years, they've mostly had a like whether pure talent or just sort of that veteran talent, just sort of to have a good mix, I think, is important. And so, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, Canada definitely has some firepower out front to sort of, negate that, but still, I think he would have been a great addition. And even if he didn't perform, super well, I think it would have been a good, hey, he's there if you need him type pick, and that's fine. And then you sort of run with the goalies you had, a plan for, and then you have him kind of waiting in the wings. I mean, why not? It can't hurt, but we'll have to see how things sort of shake out. But yeah, definitely, I would have loved to see him on the Four Nations team as well.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. But anyway, that brings us to our grand finales. Number one, Aaron, take it away.
I definitely will. So I think I'm not going to spoil yours, but had the same idea as far as our one of one, or sorry, our top number one picks. that happen to, at least in my case, be a one of one. We'll see about yours, but and this one is the very new cards. It comes from the butt end one of one set, and that is the card of Enroth as well. So this does it for me as far as my final card of 2024, and it kind of finishes the year in a big way. And for those who have not seen these cards before, they're awesome. They feature the butt end of the stick, sort of like the bat knobs of baseball. And we now have our hockey equivalent, which is amazing. I've loved those type of cards for years, even though I'm not a baseball collector. I just thought they were the coolest thing. And now we finally have a hockey version, which is amazing. So I've actually been able to maybe photo match it a little bit to his first NHL game. Not 100%, but it's very similar. But either way, I mean, an amazing card. And, you see it right there. It sticks up out of the card quite a ways, and amazing. Just so crazy, amazing, cool. And it's either you love them or I'm not going to say hate them, but you got to love it at least a little bit. I mean, it's the bad knobs of hockey, really. So I love it. How do you store it? I mean, that's a great question from Brett. You store it in those big, sort of like 100 count boxes. Just that's sort of what you have to do, really. And I love it a lot. And it just speaks for itself. It's amazing. And there's been about 100 or so released right now, all of various players. And I think they're going to keep on coming because they're very, very popular.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, love the card. Obviously, great card for your collection. And again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Unique memorabilia cards are awesome. And it is, you'd be hard pressed to find more unique memorabilia cards than these. There are some that are incredibly unique, but I mean, these really are one of a kind type of pieces. And there are some players who have multiple different butt end cards, but even within that, every single one is unique because no butt end of a stick is really ever going to be the same. At least with most players. Maybe nowadays that might be it might be a little bit more easy to replicate if they're using like those
rubber
grips
ones
or something.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be some variation and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I know there's been like a handful of Eric Lindros ones made, and those are all like very different because it's kind of throughout his career and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to see every single card, even though it might be the same player and the same type of stick or whatever, but they all have their own little unique things. And so they really are truly one of a kind pieces. And we'll use that as a segue into my number one, because that's not the only butt end that we'll see. My number one category are my butt end cards of Tony Esposito and Marc-Andre Fleury. So
Amazing.
Yeah, obviously two goalies that I really, really like. You guys know that if you've been listening to the show for any period of time. Obviously, we've talked about Fleury already tonight, but yeah, just really, really cool cards. And further to your question, Brett, here is the Tony Esposito in a 100 count box.
Amazing.
So you can see, I mean, that's literally just the knob sticking out of the card there.
And the card's thick too.
Yeah, it's a very, very thick card, and yeah, really cool. The Fleury is a little bit thinner. It actually fits in a 50 count box, but the Esposito is kind of a full thickness of tape. Josh, I'm not going to address that comment, but it's funny. But yeah, they're awesome cards, and it's one of those things that I think everyone kind of has that thought in their head as a collector of like, I wonder if I thought of something really cool, like it'd be cool if that could happen. For me, this is that thing. This is something that I originally thought of about 2 years ago at this point, and Dr. Price wasn't really sure how to make these cards happen at the time. But then earlier this year, he figured out how to essentially kind of like construct the card around the knobs, because it's a lot more difficult to embed something like this than it is a jersey piece or something. So it took a while for him to figure out how to do it properly. But yeah, then has been making them over the last 6 months or so, and it's just been really really cool to see all of these cards being made and people being able to enjoy them for their player collections and team collections and things like that. And then of course, as you see, a couple cards from my collection as well. Um, so yeah, just they're really really cool cards. If there's a player that you collect, Brett, I don't know if Brian has any Linden sticks. He probably does, but maybe get in touch with him, see if he can make you one, because they're really darn cool cards. Um, so yeah, again, they're cards that kind of speak for themselves, but they're also just such unique cards that you just don't see things like this done all the time. So yeah, just really, really fun, special, unique cards. And having two cards like that are, definitely worthy of my top spot for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, just ending it in the right way, I think, really cool. I mean, so cool. That's a really great question. I mean, I think so. Piece of a game use mask. I think so. I mean, it would definitely be quite the acquisition, and finding a way to sort of, disassemble and take pieces off. But I think honestly, if you can do a butt end stick, you can do almost anything. So, I mean, yeah, definitely, get in touch with Brian. Honestly, I'm sure he has some pieces laying around, and just shoot him an email. I'm sure he could make it happen if there's some pieces available. So that would be definitely a good get for sure. And I'm really hoping for your mass comment that becomes a reality one day. I think honestly it could. I would just love to see, some different artistic kind of variants of, say, a goalie mask design represented on a card. I know they've done it in Europe, which is really cool. I think I've showed it on the pod as well, but yeah, they've done it before. It's just kind of seeing if we can make our way over here to North America. I think would be the next stage, and get some cool NHL masks over on some cards. I think that would be fantastic. Wouldn't be much of them, I'm sure, but I think that would be a really cool chase card. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I wanted to mention about the Flurry one here in particular, I know I forgot to mention this back at the time when I first got it, but another cool tidbit behind it is that uh, knob is from the same stick as the stick handle card. So
Mhm.
again, just like a really cool kind of combo to join those two pieces from the stick, back together in my collection. I know I have. Let me find it. I know I have an image of them together somewhere, so I will find that in a second here. Might take a second, but I know I have it somewhere. Feel free to talk about something else as I'm digging through image files, Aaron.
Well, I mean, I was trying to find. I was digging through some images myself. I was trying to see if I could find to send you the picture of the game used mask card. I believe it was from, I think it was like some Czech set or something like that. But they've done quite a few cool things overseas, and maybe I'll find it later and we'll post it maybe on the next episode or something like that, because it's just so cool, this kind of stuff. And yeah, we'll have to see if it makes its way over to North America. I just love that question from Brett. I mean, we'll see if it happens. I really hope so. And, we'll have to see. So hopefully Eric finds that thing he was looking for.
Yes, here they are together.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
so just a nice little, like I said, kind of added bonus that they're from the same stick. And when we were working on the butt end card, I knew that. I knew that this knob was from that same stick that I already had the stick handle from. So kind of made it a no brainer for me to go with that one. And yeah, kind of reunite those, because in a lot of ways they're kind of the two most recognizable aspects of a stick, being the player's name and then the knob on the stick. So yeah, just really really cool in that regard for sure.
That's awesome.
Brett, with another good question for you, Aaron.
Some of the sites, this is turning into a really good, you know, Q&A from our audience here tonight. This is fantastic. So what sites do I use? So, I mean, I used a lot over the years. I mean, name a forum, chances are I'm on it. I've even, been so, wise enough. I don't know if wise is the right word, but wise enough to, join some, sites overseas to sort of find some stuff, various Facebook groups and stuff like that, and just sort of keeping an eye out on things. So, yeah, it's been a wild ride. And I think just the best thing for collectors, I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword sometimes, but I think just getting yourself out there. I know, Brett, you do a really good job of that, especially with your presence online, but just getting your name out there as the guy who collects a certain player is definitely goes a long way. And just connecting yourself with anyone you can online is a good way to do it. So definitely.
Oh, I was muted. I said, Kurt, we cannot confirm or deny that, but that's
Right,
certainly a theory there.
right.
But yeah, definitely always fun, answering questions like that. Definitely fun and good questions, Brett. There was a lot of good stuff there.
We should do like another like Q&A or something at some point. I think that
Yes.
would be a great way to sort of break the ice with questions like these for experienced or even newer collectors. It's always a fun way to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe that can be an early 2025 episode. We
That'd be
shall
great to
see.
start the year.
Yeah. So anyway, that is our 2024 top 10 for each of us. Definitely a good year for both of us for sure. A lot of cards that we picked up that if you told us coming into the year that we would have picked those up, I think we both would have laughed and just said, I don't think so. So yeah, definitely fun in that regard. And then kind of the last thing for the episode, I know Aaron, you kind of already went over yours earlier in the show, as a look back at 2024 and then also looking ahead to 2025. So, if anybody joined during the course of the show, if you want to repeat your goals for this year, that would be great.
Definitely. So just for me, picking up a deck, hopefully it comes true. I mean, we'll have to see. Another thing would be just um, finding that final piece of the puzzle for my Win Club set would be awesome. And which would be Ed Belfour, and just having fun. I think that would be the main thing there. And I actually just found a piece of a mask card here, which is really cool. It is from 2014. It is from a Czech Republic set. So I'm just going to show it on the phone here. We posted it actually a couple of years ago on the podcast Instagram. So Brett, for you wondering, you can't really see it here, but there is a card here featuring a piece of a mask. So really cool thing there. So again, I said it in the caption here, but I don't know if we'll see it in North America, but it has been done. So we'll have to see if this comes true in North America one day. But hard to see it. But if you go back, it was posted in January of 2021 on our podcast Instagram. So if you want a better look at that, it actually looks really cool, the photo that I posted here. So definitely check that out. So we'll have to see if that comes true.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely always fun seeing cool and unique stuff like that. So, yeah, and those are obviously good goals for you to have. For me, I'm recycling two. One being to finish one of my notable 0304 sets. We'll see if that happens. Like I said last year, the one that is closest right now is Premier Collection. I just need the Yoni Pikkinen, Peter Sena, and Jordan Tutu RPAs. There are a couple of people out there who love hoarding those Tutu RPAs, and I'll leave it at that. Name has a couple, but then there's another gentleman who I know has like a handful of them, and I'm just like, oh, I just want one. But there's 99 of them out there, so I'm sure I will find one day. But yeah, so just those three on that set. I'm kind of being picky on patches. I am trying to go for really nice patches on those when possible. So there have been copies over the last few years that have surfaced that I've just been like, like it's just not quite what I'm looking for. So, but yeah, I have seen really nice copies of all three of those players. So they're definitely out there. It's just a matter of things coming together there. And then kind of a part of a set, the Be a Player Ultimate Memorabilia Limited Auto set. It's a subset of the full base set, but those limited autos are numbered out of 19. And at this point, I just need Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, and Eric Lindros for those. So yeah, those are three big time cards that are left on the overall project as a whole. So finding any of those cards, acquiring any of those cards next year would honestly be great. I kind of have a lead on a Jagr right now. We're not quite close enough on the value to make it work, but maybe that'll work out. But yeah, so those are kind of like the two that are the closest right now, with Premier Collection definitely being the more attainable of the two. So yeah, I will recycle that as a goal for this year to finish one notable 0304 set. Another one, getting my collection organized. Again, recycled from last year, but maybe this will be the year that I get around to doing that. We shall see. But yeah, right now, especially for I'm thinking mostly in terms of my player collections. I have Hjalmarsson cards all over the place. I have Slavin cards all over the place. So just being able to get them all into one spot, organize them chronologically, scan the stuff that hasn't been scanned yet, stuff like that. Is something that I obviously really need to do. It's been years since I've been in a good spot with that. So maybe 2025 will be the year. Hopefully, we'll see. So there's that. And then this one I actually just added to the list today as I was kind of putting the outline together and coming up with my top 10 list, thinking about that Connor Bedard Young Gun. It'd be really fun to add at least one pretty notable Bedard card to my collection in 2025. Whatever that might be. Obviously, I would love to get a really nice rookie auto at some point, but I'll probably be pretty picky on that as far as what it is. So we'll see. But yeah, just adding one really nice Bedard card to my collection, I think would be a really fun and cool goal to have for 2025. So yeah, those are my three for 2025.
Awesome. I think it's been a really good year for us, I think, and hopefully it was for you too. Feel free to, reach out to us at all if, any of this sort of, strikes a chord with you and you want to just recap some stuff with us, being like, hey, I love the show. This is my favorite pickup from this year, something like that. So I think we'll just leave it at that. And, for those who we're not going to talk to, have a really Merry Christmas and very Happy New Year's. And hopefully this holidays goes nice and smooth and you're able to enjoy, a holiday with some family and friends. And yeah, here on the podcast, we definitely wish you well.
Yes, absolutely. Took the words right out of my mouth. As we wrap it up, I also will echo those sentiments and say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Hope that everybody's holidays are enjoyable and safe. And yeah, maybe that there's some nice cards waiting for you from Santa, or
Under the
even
tree,
from
you never know.
even from yourself. You never know. So
That's true. That's true.
I think
Yourself and Santa.
we've all been there. So yeah, but as always, we appreciate you guys listening. For those who are tuning in live, thanks for joining us. Always fun having a nice little audience joining us live, and just building up that interaction is really fun throughout the show. So yeah, shout out to Brett and Josh and Kurt, and I feel like there was one other person who commented.
You never know.
Sure. I remember, but anyway, to each of you guys in particular, thanks for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and to everybody who will be tuning in later, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for checking it out after the fact. And yeah, we'll wrap it up there and put a bow on 2024. And as always, please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Sunrise Cardcast, and on Twitter at Sunrise CC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Sunrise Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.